Donk Nation, Jackson, Janet, greetings and welcome to your Daily Dose of Donkey with Ginger. It's your boy, the Viking Donkey, bringing you some Steelers talk after a really close bite off all your fingernails. Your fingers probably hurt today if you are a person who bites their nails, and I know it's Friday, a week from it, but my nails still hurt, Gingy. That 28-27 victory was stressful, but beautiful all the same.
Mutant Gingy in the house, Donkey. That was awesome, man. Beautiful, beautiful balls from Russ. Offense, defense, working together.
Is
What else could you
50%
want?
is
7-2, Donkey.
50% completion percentage sustainable in terms of victories going forward, though, Gingy? That's really where we're at right now. Is that a high enough number?
Heading into Ravens week. We got, 6 games in the AFC North coming up in the next 8-9 weeks. There's a lot of football left to be had, but where we stand at this point, Donkey, is probably better than where either one of us predicted at the beginning of the season.
Oh, it's a lot better than where I predicted. You can tell by what my record is on Steelers games on that. I predicted them to do their typical Tomlin thing and go 9-8. But when we had this conversation, I also said I see a circumstance where this team could go 13-4. Right? I still see that circumstance. I still could see them winning only 9 games. Who knows? This is the stretch of games that's gonna matter. This is a stretch of game that's going to make this season. But let's talk about some things that happened in that Commanders game. We found out that George Pickens is really good at catching footballs and contorting his body. We learned that Calvin Austin's injury might have been the biggest play as it leads to Mike Williams' touchdown. We learned that Russ throws a pretty catchable deep ball, but he really seems to struggle currently in the intermediate passing game. And who knows, maybe that's just rust. But 50% completion percentage for both quarterbacks was kind of a weird thing to see. We saw the Steelers special teams be the most influential factor for both teams. A fake punt that wasn't caught by he who shall not be named, and Zacchaeus twice letting the ball go off his face mask. Like, dude, Gingy, how'd you let that happen 2 punts in a row?
I don't know. Donkey, the return of he who shall not be named. Oh my goodness. What a letdown there, right?
I believe he who shall not be named also got away with a pass interference on 3rd and 9 on what would be the Commanders' final drive. Definitely contacted Noah Brown way before the football gets there. No call. Hey, you take that. We have I'm not going to judge. I don't know if he got there or not, but I'll tell you, the spot that Zach Ertz got was a terrible spot. Turns out to be beneficial to the Steelers. We have Najee Harris finally score a touchdown, but other than that, really struggle in this game, Gingy. Najee just, I talked to you about it. It's coming off a bye week. He should have been well rested. Man, Najee needs to prove it against good teams. That's what I'm going to say. And to this point, he still hasn't, Gingy. He needs to, though.
Yeah, you're right. Not against good teams yet, but oh man, latter half of the season, I'd love to see him still fresh and healthy. That's what it is with these running backs nowadays, right? It's not about how they start. It's about how they finish. I'd love to see this team put that formula together in December and January. That's the formula that wins playoff games, Donkey. I'll tell you what, it might not be pretty, and it's not going to be no 35, 42, 45. Well, what? Winning 17-14, 17-16 or something? That wasn't super spectacular.
Blocking a field goal to beat Denver. Blocking a field goal to beat Denver.
Splash plays at opportune times. Donkey, that is something that our team has too, kind of like Kansas City. I can't say that we're that super far out of it. Ravens is a real opponent, Donkey. No questions asked. You can talk about the Commanders being on a hot streak, Commanders having injuries in their starting lineup.
Boy, if you watch that depleted Commanders team try to play the Philly on Thursday night in fake football, man, they got Robinson back, but dude, you could tell he was a step slow. It is what it is. Speaking of a step slow, there's one play that I'm going to talk about a little later. But let's just say some NFL analysts out there really taking it to Najee, dude. With this being the exact quote, man, when he's on the field and you compare him to the other running backs the Steelers have, he looks like he's running in sand. Oi! That's the. I hate to say it, but I kind of agree with that analysis, man. He just doesn't look fast when we play good teams.
I don't know if Najee ever really looks fast. It's about having the
he actually
burst,
outran people
burst.
for a 36-yard touchdown against who the hell did we play 2 games ago? One of them stank butt teams, dude.
Yeah, I did see that too, with a kind of a high flying finish at the end of that. If I don't,
yeah, that was the Jets. That was against the Jets, right?
Yeah, it was yes, indeed. But yeah, if you see it, you can tell when Najee has it working, Steelers win dominantly with authority. When he doesn't, we can scrape by with a variety of other splash plays, special teams plays, defensive plays, etc. But it's nothing consistent.
Dude, splash plays from the defense is a thing that I haven't seen. And dude, we didn't even make splash plays against Danny frickin' Dimes, dude. The defense needs to get back on pace. We don't pay this much money for this defense to get shut out on the turnover margin all the damn time. That's all I'm saying.
No, we definitely don't. We definitely do not do that, Donkey. I agree.
And our number one cornerback, and I said this last year, man, and he's way too handsy. He gets too many penalties. The first play where the Commanders got called for pass interference on the sideline or holding on the sideline, my son was all pumped up, and I go, you don't understand, dude. That's bad for us because our corners are handsy as hell. And if they're going to call this game tight, we're going to get a bunch of penalties. Was it 4 penalties later on Joey Porter Jr.? And we have to be sitting here wondering, man, where was the kid who was building up steam? Where was the kid who was looking like he was going to take over and be that number one corner? And my first thought that came to my head was, Jesus, don't let this be Artie Burns 2.0, Gingy. That's all I could think.
Artie Burns never got this far, man. Come on.
He was never Burns had 3 interceptions
at this point,
in
Joey
the back
Porter
half of his rookie season.
He is consistently covering the number one on the other team. And is he fully developed? Absolutely not. But he's getting by,
He's had a terrible year. There's no
compared to last year, absolutely yes.
Compared to anything,
he's still the number one corner on a 7-2 football team.
He certainly is, but I don't know if that's saying much when you can. If you're just gonna say, well, he's the best corner on a. That'd be like saying what's his face in Buffalo is a better corner than anybody because he's on an 8-2 football team. See, we gotta. Players' play cannot be stuck to their record. And as the guy who always yells at me for saying quarterback's record is what matters, I don't think you're allowed to play the record card here to defend someone who's having a poor season.
I could, though. I just did. You heard it.
I know. I don't think that's the play you should go for. That's all I'm saying.
I don't want to throw shade on a serviceable guy. He's having a down year, but I tell you what, putting his name next to Artie Burns right now is where I'm drawing the line with you, Donkey.
Yeah. So, I hear you, but both of them were guys who, as a rookie, started the second half of their season. Artie Burns had more turnovers the second half of his first season than Joey Porter Jr. Joey Porter Jr. had better numbers in terms of targeting than Artie Burns. But when you look at their second-year stats, and I understand Artie Burns got benched in his second year, but up until Artie Burns got benched, in terms of when you add penalties in, and if you add penalties in as completions, which is a way they can judge stats now because people are finally smart enough to do that, you add penalties in as completions, the numbers in terms of QB rating against are eerily similar for Artie Burns than Joey Porter Jr. in year 2. A slight edge to Joey Porter Jr. Very slight, though. I mean, when you're talking QBR rating, I think it's like 3 points edge to Joey Porter Jr. Artie Burns has the edge in turnovers. I know it's not a comparison you want to make. I know he's a legacy name, but I think it's a comparison that should be offered up and a comparison that should be talked about because that's where the level of play is right now when you compare them through year 2. So I've taken all of Artie Burns' year 2 and year 1 into the numbers, and we put most of Joey Porter Jr. because his year's not done. Obviously, he could have a great second half and make this a moot point, but where it stands as of today, through 24 games in his career, that's about where we're at. Their numbers are, like I said, eerily similar, and it's something I think we should talk about because this is a game where he really struggled with Terry McLaurin.
Well, I'll tell you what, Donkey. Until I see otherwise, I'm not going to be mentioning those two names together.
That's fair. You don't have to. I'll do it and I'll bring it up to you to talk about. So that's fair enough. There's a fun play to end this game. 4th and 1. Everybody in the damn world knows Mike Tomlin's not going for this, except for apparently the defensive tackle for the Commanders, who decides to jump off sides and essentially lose them the football game. Right? You see the dancing Steelers celebrating on the Commanders field. A really happy, joyous way to end this football game on an absolute mental blunder by the opponent. You gotta love it, Gingy. You absolutely have to love that, right?
That's a joyful football team, right? That's definitely what you want to see.
Yeah, for sure. When we dig into these numbers, Jaylen Warren was decently effective. The running game wasn't. The passing game really wasn't effective, 50% completions, but scored touchdowns, did have a turnover that ended up being a moot point. Defensively, we get 3 sacks. Newly acquired Preston Smith gets in there, and Cam Hayward, having a little bit of a renaissance here, gets 2 sacks. But no pressure from TJ Watt. An ankle injury happens to Alex Highsmith. Luckily, just a sprain, so probably only a couple weeks. Patrick Queen had one of his better games in terms of run stuffing there. The Commanders left holes. Queen filled them really well. Struggled a bit in coverage. It is what it is. That just seems to be the commonplace thing. But to me, I talked Joey Porter Jr. He's one of the issues I have. Another terrible angle by Minkah Fitzpatrick sets up a huge catch from Terry McLaurin. Dude, what the hell is going on with Minkah?
I don't know. It must not be the right system for him anymore, Donkey. I don't know. It hasn't looked good in quite some time, though.
No, last year wasn't good. People were still defending. He still makes first team All-Pro off name. This year, I don't understand how PFF has given him passing grades all these weeks, because if you watch the tape, man, angles are there. Angles are bad. Missed assignments. He's okay coming up and tackling in the running game. But, dude, you know this as well as I do. If your safety is the guy who's making all the tackles in the running game, Gingy, the hell does that mean?
That means you're giving up too many yards.
Yeah, sure as hell does. So I'm not even going to thank God he's making those tackles, but at the same time, man, that doesn't bode well for the defense. This coming up week, this team needs to take that off the bye momentum, getting that close win. They need to take all of this. They need to clean up the loose edges, because this Baltimore team that's coming in here, man, defensively, there's a lot of liabilities there. But offensively, that team is fast. That team is deep. And Lamar Jackson is having arguably his best season of his career, Gingy. Anything you want to say closing the Commanders before we get to talking this Baltimore game?
Yeah, I do, Donkey. It was a great win. I liked it. It was a lot of fun. I mean, I haven't seen a Steelers game like that. I really feel, again, at that competent a level where we're making big plays in clutch moments, big offensive plays in clutch moments rather than big defensive ones. I love to see it. Let's hope to get more of it. Let's hope it's the real deal.
For sure. I certainly do. I can't complain with what Russ has done passing the ball. He's rejuvenated this team, much like Mason Rudolph did the last 3 games of last year, where the offense felt competent. And with Russ here, you're feeling like maybe a step beyond competent is where they can go. And that's what we're hoping for. Good would be great for the Steelers to have a good offense. We really will get to find out. There's really going through the gauntlet. And that gauntlet starts this week, Gingy, with, as you like to call it, buckle up your chin straps, because we're in for a snot knocker And based on the way these two teams want to play, that could be the truest statement ever, Gingy. I will give you that.
A big-time snot knocker football. This is AFC North, top of the division, top teams, arguably in the AFC. Oh, man, Donkey. I'm excited. I am excited.
Definitely at this point, two of the top five teams in the AFC, without a doubt. This is the Steelers. This is the Baltimore Ravens. Steelers are 35-25 all time against the Ravens at home, where they are this time. They're 20-12, 15-13 on the road. Largest win was the Steelers by 37 in 1997. That was 37-0. Ravens' biggest win was 28 points in 2011, 35-7. The longest streak the Steelers have done. 5-game win streak twice from 01 to 03 and 97 to 99. Baltimore has a 4-game win streak from 2015 to 16. And the current streak is the Steelers win in 3 in a row. That includes week 18 last year, 17 to 10. Of course, we know Baltimore wasn't playing any starters in that game because, Lamar's either losing to the Steelers or not allowed to play against the Steelers. I don't really understand how that one fully works out to say, but it is an oddity that happens. When we look at this, Gingy, the Baltimore Ravens have the number one scoring offense in the league. They have the number one offense in terms of yards, third in terms of passing yards, first in terms of rushing yards. They're only 10th in terms of time of possession, ironically. Defensively, though, they struggle. They're 25th in points. They're 27th in yards. They're 32nd in passing yards allowed. But we know the Steelers want to be a run team, and this might be where the problem is. The Ravens are the number one run defense in the NFL. They're 4th in the league in sacks, and they're 16th in interceptions. There's a lot to talk about here. This is a Ravens team that, you know what? Their secondary has been terrible, and we've talked about that before, talking about some of the random games they've played. But man, their front seven is playing some damn good football there, Gingy. That offense is what that offense is. You a little worried this week, or are you feeling the confidence of this rolling, rust cooking stuff going on?
I'd be lying if I say it was going to say this was a sure thing, Donkey. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Gingy, we're Steelers fans. There's no goddamn thing as a such thing as a sure thing, and you should know that by now.
You sure would think that you would like to be, but definitely not at the top of the AFC North here. This is arguably the best team in the AFC. This is going to be a great measuring stick to see where this team lies at right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely fair point. I agree with it. We were talking before the show, and this was my biggest talk is I think the Pittsburgh Steelers, if they want to have playoff success, need to win this division. That starts this week. This is a must-have game, in my opinion, if the Steelers want to go ahead and win the division and in turn get a chance to win a playoff game. Because I don't want to go on the road to any of those teams that are currently division leaders or would have to be division leaders, because clearly we're a division leader. We wouldn't go on the road to ourselves. But if we lost that, man, going to Houston, going to Kansas City, going to Buffalo, going to Baltimore, I don't like the thought of any of those. This week matters. This week is important. We'll talk about who to look at here on the Ravens, man. Let's start. Quarterback, Lamar Jackson. Gingy, give me your thoughts on him, because dude's completing 70% of his passes at almost 10 yards 10 yards an attempt right now. Only 2 interceptions and 24 touchdowns. Whew. This dude's on another level right now, right?
Yeah, he really is. Got to keep him contained. Got to make... I don't know, Donkey. We see the Steelers seem to be his kryptonite, right? He has a tough time making the finishing
when he actually
throw.
Plays, yeah.
Yeah, when he plays, of course, Donkey. But you know what I'm saying?
This might be the first year, though, that he has a receiving core. When you look at it, you go, wow, those guys actually don't suck. Normally it was Mark Andrews, right? Like, Mark Andrews is still there. Mark Andrews is still a monster. But normally it was like, who the hell else do they have? Friggin' Hollywood Brown. Beckham. I guess they had Beckham for a little while, for 1 year, right?
They've got viable choices on on the offense now. They're a great team.
Derrick Henry scare you any? I mean, we could talk about how Lamar has 500 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns, which, by the way, I think would put him like almost as the Steelers' leading rusher. But this year, he's not the Ravens' leading rusher, Gingy. They got a guy named Derrick Henry who already has 1,100 yards in 10 games, has already scored 12 touchdowns in 10 games, is only averaging 6 yards a freaking carry. Seriously? They had to get Derrick Henry, and Derrick Henry had to turn back the clock. Like, what the hell? Is that even fair?
The resurgent Derrick Henry.
That's not fair, dude.
Yeah, definitely not fair. Definitely not what we needed. Steelers are going to have to really dominate up front, and I think that's going to be a challenge for them in this game.
And then you look at the receivers, man. I was ripping on the Ravens for drafting Zay Flowers. How the hell's that little 5'8" guy going to work in the NFL? Oh, he only has, 700 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns this year. That's all he's done. Bateman's finally come through and been a decent option there. He has another 500 yards, 4 touchdowns. Mark Andrews doing Mark Andrews things, 350 yards. 5 touchdowns. Justice Hill, their receiving running back, 270 yards, 2 touchdowns. Isaiah Likely, their other tight end, 270 yards, 3 touchdowns. Nelson Aguilar, their number 3 receiver, 200 yards, 3 touchdowns. Tyrone Wallace had a huge 60-yard touchdown last week. And then I guess we finally get to former Steeler Deontay Johnson. Dude, does a Space Cadet even get a C field time with the way this team is playing and the way these receiving options have been playing?
Offense out the wazoo. Plenty of options for them, Donkey. Poof. What's the likelihood we hold them under 30?
It depends on how long each team's drives are. If each team's having 11-minute touchdown drives, pretty damn good because the game's going to run out of time, right?
Yeah.
On the bright side, Gingy, Justin Tucker is no longer Mr. Automatic. He's actually been the worst kicker in the NFL the last 2 yards and field goals over 50 yards. So maybe the X factor, if it's a kicker, is advantage Pittsburgh? That's really hard to say, but hey, that's a fun thing to say, right?
Hey, you know what? Boswell's been clutch this year so far. Let's hope that he keeps it going.
Hey, do you remember the guy that I really wanted the Steelers to draft a couple years ago and that Baltimore decided to let Patrick Queen go because they had that dude, Trenton Simpson from Clemson? Dude, he's showing his athleticism. He's running around. He's being great when you get to that defense side of the ball. But, Gingy, is there a better middle linebacker in football than Roquan Smith?
I don't think so at this point right now.
Nah. And Kyle Hamilton is an absolute monster out there at safety. Although they did lose the Cleveland game because Kyle Hamilton dropped an easy interception. That's the one thing about him. He doesn't have an interception this year, but that dude takes great angles. That dude's a great blitzer. That dude's good in run stuffing. I guess you could say he's arguably their version of Minka right now. Ain't able to make a splash play, but does a good job in support. Although he's a good blitzer. Minka doesn't ever blitz because we let the other guys do that.
Yeah, we need to really be able to hold on support, huh? Is that where we're at now, Donkey?
Need to hold him and run? Yeah.
No, absolutely. I mean, hold Lamar Jackson in, no big plays. But Donkey, they're attacking you from so many fronts, I don't even know where to talk about. Right?
Yeah, what you do? Do you stop Derrick Henry? Do you stop Lamar Jackson running? Well, then you let Lamar Jackson pass. And this year, that's been fantastic. It's like, okay, shoot yourself in the foot. And then you get to the defensive side, they make you one-dimensional. Now, luckily, they really suck at stopping that one dimension, which is the pass game. But, dude, I know that Cam Hayward's having a hell of a year. But in terms of interior defensive linemen and 4-3s, no one's better than Matabuke, dude. That dude's a monster. He stops the run. He has, 5 sacks this year already. Man, Matabuke in the middle's killing it. Then Kyle Van Noy has 7 sacks this year. You want to talk about a dude with a resurgent? He's like 32, having the best year of his career. Odafe Owe, another guy that I wanted the Steelers to draft some 3 years ago, has 7 sacks this year. 4.5 sacks, 4.5 sacks this year. Been really good off the edge. Trenton Simpson from the middle linebackers bringing in sacks. This team, front seven wise, Man, they get after you up there in the front seven. Chris Wormley actually played a little bit and had a good game. I know it's terrible to say that, but man, the way Wormley played for us and gave everything, I'm just happy that Wormley's back and healthy. I'm very unhappy that it's for Baltimore, though, and that he's helping them
this
on
week,
that
for
defensive
sure.
front seven that is stout.
Yeah, definitely, Donkey. Going to be a tall challenge this week. Going to have to see some of our key players rise as the occasion. Offensive line guys who've been a little bit shaky, Donkey. You're going to have to see them come through. Broderick Jones.
Zach Frazier, I need to see 6 yards of carry from Najee when you're on the field, please. I know we said this isn't a thing we should talk about, but Gingy, it's becoming a trend that the running game is nowhere near as effective with Zach Frazier as it was without him.
Yeah.
And what's weird is I think he's a better player, but sometimes that's not necessarily the most important thing at being a center is getting people in the right call, doing those things. And by all accounts, the Steelers love Zach Frazier for it. But the running game needs to show up with Zach Frazier, and it needs to be this week. I don't see a way of winning if we cannot. I guess, I could say that. We can attack that secondary, man. Arthur Millett's been terrible this year. I don't think Tre'Davious White going to play in this game. I'm not 100% sure on that. They did add a corner to try and help fix things because their back half has been terrible out there. I mean, Stevens has been god awful. Wiggins hasn't played well. I don't know if Tre'Davious White is going to play or not, but he would probably be an upgrade for them. But coming off injuries, he hasn't looked very good. He didn't look very good as last year in Buffalo, so I'm not really worried about that. This is a game where both teams want to establish this run, right? Both teams want to be big. Both teams want to be physical. Both teams want to win the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. We're both built heavy investment when you look at what the Steelers spend on offense. Their heavy investment is in the line. On defense, they're in the front seven. Same with Baltimore outside of Lamar Jackson. But I guess you could argue he is a running back. I know you've liked to say that before, although this year he's doing his best to tell you he can also quarterback.
HB1. We'll see, Donkey.
Do you see the Steelers at home maybe getting an advantage, being able to be a little bit quicker because of crowd noise? And could that be the big factor in this game is maybe a half-yard gained on both sides of the ball just from being the home team? Do you think that is an aspect we should talk about when we look at this game?
I do. I think Steeler Nation plays a big part in the energy, especially close games at the end, Donkey.
For sure. Maybe a little Renegade gets its retro always works type of feel. I know that hasn't been the way the last few years, but maybe we get a little throwback this week, Gingy. Or maybe with Corliss Waitman as the punter, Calvin Austin as a punt returner, although he was on the injury report. I don't know if he got off it or not. I didn't look at today's. These splash plays from the special teams could also be the big factors going into it. Do you think this game's going to be decided the offense defense, or do you think special teams ends up being the biggest change in this game in two physical football teams where the slightest misstep could hurt?
I think in this one, Donkey, it ends up going to be special teams. I think we're going to see a big one from Boswell.
I'd love to see that. Gingy, you ready? Figure out where we last left off. Okay, we're back cooking. Okay, so we lost a little bit there. Gingy said that he sees special teams as possibly being a big factor in this game. So let's go ahead. Let's get into cash or trash. I'm going to watch to make sure the audio keeps up with what we're doing here. Gingy, offense, cash or trash. First one is ready to go. Russ, once again, has 3 or more touchdowns for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Cash or trash?
Cash it in.
I like to hear that. Let's go to the other side. Najee Harris finally has that 4+ yard a carry and a touchdown game against a competitive team, and in this case, the best running defense in football, the Baltimore Ravens. Cash or trash?
Ooh, I think that might have to be trash.
Fair enough. Mike Williams made some pretty big impact. 1 catch, 31 yards, and a touchdown. Mike Williams once again makes an impact this week, Gingy, catching another touchdown. Cash or trash?
Cash it in. I like it. Big impact to start, big impact to go. What do we have a number 2? Can he be a number 2?
Well, based off your terrible trying to kill all my optimism last week, you do not believe so. But I'm here to tell you, I had faith.
Well,
as him being an
results.
upgrade from the other trash that we had at the bottom of the roster.
Results are results.
All right, so we're on to number 4. Number 4 is the Steelers' offensive line has to have an impact in this game, and that's going to be felt by holding down the Ravens, who are good at sacking the quarterback, to 2 or less sacks. Cash or trash?
I will cash that in. Let's see them step up into pass coverage if they can't get the run going.
Yeah, that would be nice to see. I was going to have a Jaylen Warren one as number 5, but he missed this practice with a back injury, and those things can be limiting, so we're not going to throw him out here and throw him under the bus with an injury. So what we're going to go instead is the tight ends really, really haven't done a whole lot with the investment we've put in them. This is the week, and specifically, big boy, you ain't going to tackle him with a little DB. Washington is going to get himself in the end zone. Cash or trash?
I will. Let's see it. Cash it in.
Let's go. Gingy, offensive take from you.
Offensive take is it's going to be a slog, right? We're going to try to establish the run. The carries are going to be there. I don't know if the production is going to be there. But the attempt is going to be enough to open up the pass game in order to be able to pull out this thing, Donkey. I think that's where we're going to see it. Russ is going to shine. 3 touchdowns. Boy, oh boy. Let's see if we can hang in there, huh?
I actually, well, you're going to definitely cash one of my takes then, because I do have the Steelers offense putting up 3 touchdowns. Specifically, I see the Pittsburgh Steelers offense scoring 24 points in this game. I see the running game averaging under 3.5 yards a carry. Najee right around the 3-yard mark. I just don't think they're going to get it going against Baltimore's run D. But I see the passing game being able to be effective. I see Russ getting his first 300-yard game as a Pittsburgh Steeler. That's my take on offense, Gingy. You want to cash it, trash it, half it, quarter it, third it? I guess I gave 3 points, so third it.
I'm cashing it. I'm cashing the whole thing.
All right, let's get it going. Let's get it going on defense, Gingy. TJ Watt breaks out this week. He has 2 sacks. Cash or trash? 2 or more.
Cash it in. I believe the biggest guys show up in the biggest moments. Here we go.
I'd love to see that. The Steelers hold Lamar Jackson to under 60% completions and under 200 passing yards. Cash or trash, the Steelers being able to shut down Lamar Jackson passing the football?
Ooh, I don't know about all that. Trash.
The Steelers are able to rein in King Henry, and he does not see the end zone or break 100 yards. Cash or trash that, Ginger?
I will cash that in. Yes, shut down King Henry.
Patrick Queen, the Ravens didn't want me, is what his saying has been now. This is his revenge game, and he shows it by one of 2 fronts, Gingy. He either has 10-plus tackles with at least 1 tackle for loss, or forces a turnover. Cash or trash?
Ooh. I will cash that in.
Very nice. Gingy, it's the obligatory one. Do I even need to ask you, or are you just going to tell the world, does Minka get a turnover or not? Cash or trash?
Trash.
I'm going to say it until it happens, dude. I'm going to speak
trash
this into
until
existence.
Otherwise. Proven. It's like the Cleveland Browns.
I don't even want to talk about it, dude, because they've beat us in the playoffs more recently than we've won a playoff game. Okay, so let's not talk about them.
Shh. Let's not talk about that right now either.
That's what I'm saying. Don't bring that shit into my happy moment here, Gingy.
Yeah, I hear you. We'll see if. Yeah, I hear you.
All right, Gingy. Last take on defense.
Ooh, defense is going to be hanging on for dear life, I think. I don't think it's going to be a pretty performance, but I think it's going to be enough. More to be told soon.
I think we're ready to see what my take is, and I have to remember which Baltimore game I predicted which way to say what I'm going to say about what happens today before the picks happen. All right, so give Donkey 1 minute while he tries to figure out in his notes who he picked in the preseason. All right, good. I picked the Steelers to win this game. That's what I thought. I think the Ravens offense shows why they're the number one offense. I think the Steelers defense does just enough in the red zone, though, to force field goals instead of touchdowns all the time. And they hold the Ravens to 20 points and get 2 turnovers from Lamar Jackson, Gingy. That's what I think happens. I still think the Ravens break 400 yards of offense, though. Cash or trash, or take one of the 3.
I cashed that in. I mean, I really see the game going the same way this week, to be honest, Donkey.
Hey, we both saw the game, by the way. Shout out to me and Gingy both saying that the Commanders game was going to come down to the Commanders with the ball. And Gingy, kudos on being the one who was right on what happened, though. I'll give you that. Bravo.
Here. Here.
I am absolutely happy that's the way it went. Gingy, one last thing we have to mention about this game before we get into picks and other NFL stories. The Ravens having an extra 3 days of rest. Do you think that makes a difference in this game? Well, clearly not, because I know where we're both going with this pick. But fair thing to bring up, I think.
Yeah, I never really want them with any extra advantage at all, but I do think it. I think it is.
Yeah, there's no doubt that it has to be considered an advantage. Any fun NFL stories for you this week, Gingy, that you saw happen?
I don't know, Donkey. None that I can think of. I was pretty.
Did you watch Monday night? I think it was Monday Night Football. It was Monday or Sunday night. The Detroit Lions with 5 freaking interceptions and beat the Texans. Dude,
I think it must have been Sunday night. Monday was Sunday. Dolphins game, I think. Yeah.
Then it was Sunday. I just knew it was a game my wife could watch, so it'd be Sunday night or Monday night. And she likes the Lions. I've never seen a team do that in my life, and it was something to behold. That Detroit team can move the ball quite well. Jared Goff, though, just might have killed any chance he had at MVP with one terrible football game.
Oof. The Lions are gonna be tough though at the end, I think.
I'll tell you, a team who's looking sneaky good in there, and it surprises me. It's the damn Cardinals, dude. That team's a little better than I thought I would give them credit for. I'll say that. Any thoughts on Dak Prescott just kind of saying he's having season-ending surgery so that he can't take the blame for what the hell the Cowboys are?
No thoughts on the Cowgirls or anything going on in Jerry world.
Dude, we lost to that freaking team. That still embarrasses me and makes me mad. I'm still angry about that. All right, I know we have no Laskers, but we have his picks. Madden's now 6-3 on the year, and Madden does not like us beating Baltimore. They say we're gonna lose, so we'll see how that works for you, Madden. I don't know if I'm buying what you're selling there. Let's get into this week's picks. Let's start with who the hell do we have the Clowns playing? I gotta find. We got the Saints playing the Clowns. Gingy Laskers likes the Saints. Who'd you like?
Miss Saints.
You know what? I need to make up some spots. I'm going to take Cleveland, all right? Just because I need to make up some ground on Gingy. He made up a game. He's 5 up right now, people. He's 5 up. We got to make up some ground. And I don't know if picking against the Steelers this year is going to ever help me make up ground, so we'll go there. We have the Bengals flying over to play the Chargers. Oh, man. Yeah, you know what? This feels like the type of game that Cincinnati wins to me, Gingy. I'm gonna take the Bengals. Laskers is on the Chargers. Who'd you got?
Bengals.
You were a little stinker. I thought I was gonna pick up two or lose two more this week.
I don't have
And
faith
then,
in the Chargers. They're so streaky, and the Bengals are good on this sneaky. They're starting to look sneaky.
the big thing to me was they're getting why the hell can't I think of their guy's name? Their number 2 wide receiver back this week. Oh, why? T. Higgins. There we go. Yeah, T. Higgins. There we go. Don't know why that was absolutely impossible for me to think of. Then we got the game that really matters because at the end of the day, the Steelers just have to win. That's all that matters. We got the Steelers. We got the Ravens. Oh, we got Laskers taking the Ravens 35-31 with Zay Flowers as an X factor. Gingy, who do you got?
Give me the Steelers 27-24. Chris Boswell, your X factor at the end of the game, breaking the 24-24 tie. Coming in clutch.
I just saw
Let's
something
go.
about Boswell breaking a record on one of my timeline things. I don't know what it was about. I should have read it before I got here. I also like the Steelers. I like them 24-20, and I like the X Factor. You know what? I've rode him a lot this year because I feel like he's played really bad football. I feel like we spent way too much money on him. But man, this just feels like the type of game, the type of person Patrick Queen is, that this is the type of game Patrick Queen would ball out, right?
Wow.
I gotta say, I feel this is the Patrick Queen X Factor one for the Steelers. All right, Gingy, I guess it's time. You got a shout out for last week?
Oh, of course I do. Donkey with a win. Mike Williams, welcome to Pittsburgh. What a big play at the end of the game. Nice over-the-shoulder catch. Really well-thrown ball by Russell. Way to welcome him in. One catch, 1 touchdown. Welcome, Mike Williams. Let's hope this is the continued addition on offense that we need. Seal the deal.
Poor Preston Smith with his 1 sack was not good enough for Gingy. And Gingy is the defensive man. Oh, that hurts. Picking the wide receiver over the pass rusher. Oh, Gingy. Oh, my shout out is Corliss Waitman because apparently he learned how to kick an uncatchable punt. Okay? And that was such a huge part in the game. I have to give a shout out because watching not even adequate, dude. Corliss Waitman has been a good punter. Watching good punting, oh, Jesus. Oh, it feels like we have Norm Johnson back there. Is that the guy who used to do it?
I don't know.
Or is he the kicker one? Was he the kicker Johnson, man? I don't remember. Back in the late 90s when our punter was arguably our MVP in was it the 99 season maybe? I don't remember. There's one season where our best player was our punter in terms of offense. I remember that, though. One of the slash years, Gingy.
Yeah, probably true, Donkey. I don't remember that one.
All right, I guess that's time. I gotta let you know I'm the Viking Donkey. That's Viking_Donkey on Twitch and Twitter. Your Daily Dose Donkey with Ginger is a YouTube channel where you get all this fun content. Be sure to let us know if there's anything you'd like to hear, breakdowns, anything like that. Catch the Bug Cap, of course. You know he's doing good breaking down plays. Wasn't as enigmatic this week. I don't know if that's the word I meant to use, but whatever, Gingy. I tried to use a big word, so I'll send it to you now.
Pretty close, Donkey. Pretty close. Mutant Gingy in the house. We talking football. Holy smokes, it's Ravens week, Donkey. We're getting hyped up for the end of the season. We're for the latter half of the season. 6 AFC North matchups. Oh, Donkey. This is just the beginning of a wild roller coaster, but Ravens week. Here we go. Wave 'em if you got 'em.